Good morning. Welcome to Exploring Economic Development with MEDC for episode 39. My name is Meredith Harris, and I am joined this morning by my co-host, Jillian Roberts.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you today?
Good. So episode 39.
We're going to be talking about pop-ups, retail market. It's going to be a really great episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've now been doing this show for 2-3 years.
I don't know. Something like that. A lot of episodes.
A lot of episodes.
The last episode was awesome. We had Greg Bunnin from Mass Hire and Dennis Collins from the state of Massachusetts to talk about apprenticeship.
Yeah.
Which was really cool. Kind of a neat episode for both employers in the community, but also people, job seekers that are looking for new opportunities.
Yeah.
Really kind of cool.
Yeah, it made me reflect a lot on, like, where was this when I was in high school or when I was in my early 20s or when I was trying to figure out,
what you want to do.
What I wanted to do. There's so many opportunities out there, which I'm not hating on it. I'm just a little jealous.
You should be. But you landed here and at MPS, so you're good.
I mean, is there a better place to be than Marlborough, Massachusetts? What do you think, online viewers?
That's right.
Anyways, I'm being an actress. All right, so
if you missed that episode, you should check it out because it has a lot of good information, a lot of resources, a lot of things that, again, if you are an employer in Marlborough that's looking to hire, which I think most of you are, or if you are a job seeker looking for a new opportunity or to just broaden your horizons, it's a great resourceful episode.
Absolutely.
So,
and it was called Inside the Industry.
That's right.
Which is
it
our
was a special edition.
We do like quarterly episodes.
Yep. So that was last month. This month, we're going to be talking about pop-ups. So before we introduce our very special guest today, I want to give just a little background on what exactly are the pop-ups. So we've talked about it on here many times, but if you're tuning in for the first time, we're going to let you know that our pop-up project has been up and running since May. This was brought to you by a partnership with the 495 Metro West Partnership and MEDC in the city of Marlborough. You have to give a huge shout out to both Lindsay Jowrick in our office, who really thought through this project, made it happen, brought the creativity, worked very close with our DPW, the city of Marlborough, all the folks that kind of came together to make it a reality. Mm-hmm. But really what it started from was the Mayor Vigent, kept coming to me for years now saying, we need to have some sort of space where these folks that are on Etsy and these little retailers, how can we get them to be able to test out the downtown market? Yeah. And as much as folks, the downtown area, downtown revitalization is a big conversation right now. People are talking about that. There's not a lot of vacancies downtown. Right. So that consistently is the problem that we bump into, is that we have people that want to come and be a part of the downtown, but we have nowhere to put them. Right. So anyways, without further ado, long story short, this was kind of the idea of, okay, if we don't have vacancies, or we don't have a place to put them, let's create a space to put them. And we originally talked about, they're like little pods that you see in the Seaport area. Sometimes they're more like, like garage doors that kind of open up, storage sheds. But again, Mayor Vigent came back and said, well, wait a minute, why don't we actually put real sheds? Yeah. So then those sheds then went into, okay, well, if we're going to do that, we have to make them ADA accessible. So then they went into the ground. Yeah. So then all of a sudden we had these really permanent structures downtown that are now fully, they have electricity. There's beautiful artwork on the back and the sides of the sheds from Brian Life. Shout out to Brian, the beautiful art that we were able to put downtown right in the center there. But there's fans inside. There's Wi-Fi. I think they're really kind of cool.
They're awesome.
And the cooler part is that it was all brought to you through a grant.
So, and this was through the Metro West
495 partnership. Jason Palich, who's been on the podcast a couple different times. Shout out to Jason. But we did it. It was called the Redo Grant. And I think last time we talked a little bit about, or maybe it was city, I don't know, whenever it was, founders, that the Redo Grant, kind of the kick to it was you had to be ready to do it like now. Yeah. So you could apply for the grant, but you had to be ready to just implement on your project right away. And kudos to the city of Marlborough. We're really good at that. We're able to, if someone says, hey, we're going to give you the money, but you got to get it done in the next 2 or 3 months,
everybody
we
rallies.
Say, okay, challenge accepted. So we did that. And now we have these beautiful sheds. I'm sure we're going to show pictures of them, but they're really kind of cool. And so today we have 2 guests with us that were kind of our resident shed operators for the whole summer. Both Amanda and Alicia from Magic Color & Co. and Luna Pines. We're in shed, was it shed number 1 or shed number 3? I think.
Shed 3.
Shed 3? Was it shed 3? Yep. With the butterfly, which is really kind of cool. But you guys were you were our shed people for the entire summer, which was awesome. And we really thank you for that, because we kind of were rolling the dice on this project of who's going to want to come and do this? And we need to find vendors. And we were really thrilled with the outpouring of vendors that wanted to be a part of it, but you guys were with us from day one and really helped us get it up and running and started. So thank you for that, and welcome to Exploring Economic Development with MEDC.
Thank you.
Yes. So, okay, I kind of introduced you anyways, but I'm going to give you both a little 30 seconds on who you are, what is your business, and how did you get started?
All right. Okay.
Who wants to go first? All right.
My name's Alicia Tucker. I'm from Marlborough. My business, Magic and Color Co., is vintage, handcrafted, and giftable goods. I've always been passionate about treasure hunting and finding like unique vintage items. So that's kind of where I started with this business. I was a hairdresser in Boston before the pandemic, and when everything kind of shut down, I was already looking to transition into something new. So this time has like allowed me to explore other things.
So before you were in the shed, how were you selling things? Were you on, was it Etsy or what was your platform?
I primarily used Etsy because it was a great place to start. It had built-in algorithms, audiences, people looking for the type of stuff I was selling.
Right.
So.
And were you selling, and I'm just really interested in this, so don't mind me when I'm geeking out with you guys on this, but like, were your customers more local based, or were you like shipping things all over the country, or what did that look like?
Definitely shipping all over the country.
That's cool.
I think with the Etsy side of things, it was beneficial because people are seeking out certain vintage items.
Something specific.
Yep.
That's cool.
So that kind of helped me get it out there, kind of all over the United States, a few international packages.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, Amanda, give us the background.
So I'm Amanda. My business is Luna Pines. I started back in 2012, I think.
Wow.
And actually, I went to Mass Art and I studied printmaking, which is kind of where my like fine art and my art prints got their start. But my jewelry making got started when I wanted to make a very specific necklace for Alicia for Christmas.
That's so cool.
Yeah. We've been friends a long time.
Yeah. So
you'd have to be able to share a shed all summer, right?
Right. And so I had this like vision and I went shopping for this necklace. I couldn't find it anywhere. And I was like, oh, I'm going to make it. And then
that's cool.
I was like, oh, I can probably just keep making jewelry. And so I did. And then, so I think I started off in Etsy, and then pretty shortly after that, got my own website built, and then I started popping up at like creative markets, like artist markets in Boston. And
sure, similar to what La Shoe does, right? Like they have folks that come and quote unquote pop up for the day or for the weekend,
well, that, but also just like almost like the farmers market, but it's all makers.
Okay. All right. So you just said a buzzword, right? So the makers. What exactly is a maker? We have the Marlborough makers in Marlborough. You guys, I think, are both in tune with them. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So the Marlborough Makers Group is a little more, I would say, a little more to the fine art side. And they probably use that word maker to encompass everyone who makes things.
Sure.
Because not everyone necessarily considers themselves like an artist, but they still make things and want to share their work with the world.
Okay.
So I think the Marlborough makers probably have that title in that sense. When I think of a maker, I think of people who perhaps are a little more on the crafty side.
Okay.
But I think the word craft, especially these days, gets that kind of like kitschy. Like people don't want to take on that persona.
Yeah.
And I think makers is kind of a nice alternative.
A nice way to frame it. Yeah, because when I think of crafts, I'm like sitting at my kitchen table with my 4-year-old, like with pipe cleaners.
Or like, you know, the school fundraisers in the gym. And it's, you know.
Right. All right, so you started off, you said Etsy, but then you built yourself a website similar to Alicia. So why was the pop-up program, why was it appealing to you guys? What made you guys want to go down this path with us and be our first victim, so to speak, at the sheds?
Well, I definitely, I am very interested in having a studio where I can have retail and be able to work. And so to me, I was like, oh, this might be a great opportunity to test out that business model. Which it was. Yeah. Kind of. I think since we ended up sharing a shed, the making part was a little, you know, not as feasible. Sure. But it was still a really great experience.
That's awesome.
You know, having a retail, public-facing retail space.
Component. And had you guys both been looking for space downtown or just in general, and then this idea came up and you guys were like, okay, this seems kind of cool? And
I've been reaching out to landlords.
Yeah.
I haven't since the pop-up.
Okay.
But prior to that, I was starting to reach out and just get a feel of what the market is and what the pricing is.
Yeah, it's tough, right? Right.
Yeah.
At the start of 2020, I was looking at spaces, but this is like right before the pandemic hit. And I'm so thankful it didn't really kind of follow through because at the time I didn't know the world was going to change so drastically.
And didn't it though, huh?
So I was able to kind of focus in on like the foundations of building a business, which was what I really needed at the time. And then the pop-ups came in at the right time, I feel like, because then I could take what I was doing online, bring it into a physical space and kind of grow it a little bit more.
And did you, while you were in the sheds, did you continue to do your online sale? Like, did you keep both things kind of running at the same time?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. I think it's crucial nowadays to have a little bit of both.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, all right, what was your inspiration for kind of going, and I know that you went to art school and you said you were a hairstylist before, but then wanted to kind of do something different. But what made you want to do what you're doing? A small business is no easy feat, right? I mean, that you're taking on a huge thing and it's risky. What made you guys want to go down this path? Is that a loaded question?
It's not. I mean, I knew from high school that I really was going to need to be in some kind of alternative career path. And actually, I've been an entrepreneur my entire life.
Yeah.
I used to, even in high school, I used to help put on music events,
Craft fairs.
and craft fairs. Well, that was after, but in high school, remember we'd do those. So we were friends in high school.
We were in a band together as well.
We would do concerts at like the Moose Lodge, and you know, I remember my mom. I think I made like $1,500 once at you know, we had local high school bands playing, and we charged like maybe $5 at the door, and it was just, my mom was like, "Wait, this is crazy. This is a business, and you're
you can
14.
make money, right? Right.
Yeah. So I mean, and then when I think with the jewelry making, I think when I first left art school, I was like, there's no way I can make money selling my artwork. That's not realistic. And so I I can make jewelry and make money. But it's been interesting to see, especially through the pop-ups, how much traction my artwork actually has at this point. And I think that's really a realistic pursuit at this point.
That's awesome. All right. So what was your experience like? I mean, like like being down there, because you guys were there for how many months were you in the sheds for? I should know that off the top of my head.
May-
We pretty
May
much
through
signed up
August.
from
Summer,
the
right?
beginning, and then
And she's still in there.
Yeah,
I
you're
am
still
still in
there, right?
we signed up. Yeah, May through wasn't it the start of September? Yeah.
Yep.
And then we took a few weeks off, and then when
And then
they
you came back
extended
for
the
more.
season, I joined up in October, and however long it's gonna go, I want to stay a part of it.
You want to stay there? That's awesome. Yeah. So, and we also have Lex. She's kind of another resident
She's
now that's been
awesome.
there for a while.
Yep.
Vibes, which is great. So, what was the experience like? I mean, you guys were there. We did the Christmas in July event, which was a lot of traction. The farmers market brought a lot of people down. But was it successful for you guys? Did you enjoy being there? What was it like being in the sheds?
I think one of the coolest parts was getting to talk to the community, finding people that were interested in the things that we were doing. Being next to Lost Shoe was really great because they draw in like an alternative crowd that wants more art and culture in the city. So I think we got a little bit of trickle over from that. And when the farmers market was in the parking lot, we were able to get a lot of foot traffic with the bigger of events, I'd say. Some nights were a little tricky, like the weeknights, trying to get people over there to find us. People kind of stumbled onto us by
Accident
a couple times. But overall, everybody that came in was super like kind and excited to see it and encouraging. I've had some great conversations down there.
Yeah. Well, it's been a really cool thing. Yeah. It's just something that's really neat. And so did it make you guys want to do a brick and mortar, or what did you learn from being in there? I know you said that you obviously you thought the jewelry was going to be the big hit, but you were surprised by the art. What other things did you learn about your business in particular while you were in there?
I think one thing I really learned was how much, and I know we just had like a crazy weather season.
Oh, wasn't it awful?
Yeah,
I
but
know.
That hindered some
it's
stuff.
interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see how much the weather still plays like a role in your foot traffic, even in an indoor space. I know the sheds are small, so people do expect to be able to be outside when they're a little more, I think. than a traditional brick and mortar. But
Yeah.
I definitely learned that even if you have a regular brick and mortar, you're going to be slow on rainy days.
On rainy days.
Yeah.
You know,
We had a few of those this summer, didn't we?
I feel like
Maybe a few.
yeah. Every
Yeah.
time I wanted to take the kids to the beach, it's like
I know.
Yeah.
let it rain.
And I think like a few other things that I kind of picked up on like actually opening a true like a actual
Business. Yeah.
brick and mortar is, like staffing, which
Sure.
is why we ended up sharing was, I have kids and I'm their primary caregiver, and, it's really tricky,
Yeah.
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 with Alicia has really flexible
Availability. I was able to
that
do
was
a lot of the
great.
time down there, which was nice.
But
Yeah.
it, still is like, I don't know.
Making sure you're there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for the audience, for people that are watching, so the sheds, kind of the way that you got into the pop-ups was that we would charge a $300 deposit that was refundable as long as everything, you left everything the way that you found it. But we did require folks to be open certain hours to make sure that it was kind of, we could put them, consistency, and that we could do the marketing of, hey, the sheds are going to be open from this time to this time. And so to your point, if you weren't able to staff those specific hours, that could potentially have caused a problem for you, right?
Yeah.
So would you, if there was a space available tomorrow, would you take a brick and mortar space, would you take it, or are you saying maybe not?
I would jump.
You would jump on
I
it?
think assuming it would,
Fit.
Right,
like,
the
if
right
we could
space,
afford it,
the
right?
right space, the right price.
I would absolutely.
That's
I
awesome.
think it definitely highlighted to me what I could do with more space, like
Yep.
bringing in all the different types of services I can provide rather than just the retail aspect of things, which I think is having a bit of a hard time in our economy right now.
Sure.
So being able to have a bigger space to invite people in, maybe have a one-on-one studio again where I can provide hair services just to expand the revenue stream,
Yep.
bring in community events, artists, makers to teach classes. I think the shed just kind of gave us a taste of what could be possible.
Well, that's what we wanted it to do. So that makes me really happy to hear that that's exactly what the outcome was. So what are the challenges? So now you kind of know what comes along with it, but what are the things that you're saying, okay, if there was a space tomorrow that opened up and, obviously the finances are a huge, component of that, but what other? So staffing, financial, what else would be something? Is it marketing? What are the things that you'd have to think about when you're trying to open up an actual storefront?
I think needs, your community, what people are looking for. Definitely the finance, the staffing aspect of it, the right space.
What do you mean by the right space? What does that entail? What does that look like?
The right space.
Well, that's going to be different
Right,
for everybody.
right.
But
Yeah.
what's that look for you?
Well, right. So it would be something that could be subdivided into like a private room, an
Okay.
open floor plan. I think just physically where is it located
Yep.
and what's the structure.
Okay. And for you guys, is being in a downtown, is that important to you?
Revitalizing your hometown, my hometown,
Yeah.
that's kind of important to me. So if it's downtown,
Yep.
I think that is great because it just adds to the charm of our city
Right.
and makes me feel proud to be here.
Sure. That's making me.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, and I think I live close to downtown, so that's another added bonus.
Yeah.
But still, the revitalization of downtown. And I think for me, I envision my space almost a little more like community, like a
Gathering space.
yeah. So I envision almost like a garage door that opens up and
Yep.
people kind of meander in and just maybe they don't even buy something. Maybe they just check out what's going on because it does have to me it's really important to have a space where I can actually do my making and printing and my artwork. So
you want it to be, not just a retail space, but more of an actual workspace.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get some live music in there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that'd be
Definitely.
I don't know if you know this, but Jill's in a band.
Yes.
It's not a big deal. It's not about me. It's
She
about,
sings like an
It's
angel.
about the pop-up
I
shop.
know.
But I hear what you're saying in terms of wanting to offer different services, and it's not just being retail, but creating an experience for people or a learning opportunity. We were just talking before that being able to have cameras set up so that as you're making things, I love to consume content of makers, creators, creatives doing their craft and
Yep.
seeing what the finished product is. Like, I'll pay way more money for something that I can see how it's made and appreciate the craft and the art of it. So yeah, I totally hear you as a creative, like on if you're going to invest in a space, there's so many boxes that you need to check. So having the right space and facility and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've even seen that just in like general, like the real estate market too. Like people, like it's all about experiences now. People want to experience
Yes.
things. They don't want to just go for, one thing. They want to be able to either shop around or be there for a while and do different things, make a night of it, right? Or a day of it or whatever it is.
I mean, I think about the candle shop. I'm blanking on the name.
Dancing Orchid.
Right. So
Yeah.
we've done our company outings there where we're
Right.
getting to make our own candles. And that's
It's
for
so
adults,
cool.
but then she
Yeah.
has another one that you can do with the kids. I mean, it's great to be there and to shop and to get your hands on things as opposed to just buying online.
Right.
But then also having that extra opportunity to do something together,
Right.
to bring in some food and just have that time together in that creative space is inspiring. Yeah.
Well, and Marlborough's really good at that too. Like, and you were just talking about like your hometown and wanting it. Like, I remember for Patricia going to the licensing board and saying like, okay, so she wants to allow people to be able to bring in a bottle of wine on a Friday night. And like the answer in Marlborough was always yes, or let me think about it and let me figure out how we get to yes. Like that's always the answer in Marlborough. And I love that.
Yeah.
I love that because you don't get that everywhere. A lot of times when you're dealing with government and, sometimes it's like, nope, we can't do it. Sorry, hands are tied.
Right.
But
or the
not here.
paperwork and it's so overwhelming as an entrepreneur. Like you have so many things you have to worry about anyway. And then you're trying to make sure like, oh wait, when does this license renew? Is my website auto renewed? Oh wait, that credit card got compromised and did I switch that? There's so many things just like in general as a business owner.
Yes.
And then to try to get things up and running, if you're having to go through all these hurdles and all this red tape, it can be deflating.
Overwhelming.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
All right, so believe it or not, we're bumping up against time. There's a few other questions I did want to get to. Yeah, we are. It's almost 10:30, believe it or not.
10:24.
But I wanted to ask you guys, so the importance of shopping local.
Yeah.
So what's your perspective on, obviously there's the Amazons of the world and there's all these opportunities that people have that make shopping easy, right? But why should people shop local? We're constantly at MEDC talking about the small fish feed the big fish and kind of this whole notion of economic development in our community. Why is it important for people to shop local? What does it mean to folks like yourself to have people coming in and actually purchasing your goods on a day-to-day basis?
Definitely means a lot. I think it helps us get to the point of like bringing something new to the city by supporting small businesses. It helps us grow. I know right now everything I have is going back into like the next step in my business, and when I have like a steady flow of customers, it just makes it more accessible for me to reach the next milestone.
You can do more.
You can do more, and then I can maybe potentially bring more to offer, which is the end goal, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
What about you? Why should people shop local?
Well, I think it always comes back to, so I'm a Marlborough resident. So if you're shopping from me and then I'm paying my taxes, those go into Marlborough, right? Like it all circles back. And then also, I prioritize shopping local. So then it just keeps the money in our community,
Right.
which I think is beneficial for everybody.
Right.
And then again, like Alicia said, as my business grows, the more I can bring to Marlborough, if I get a space, I can have workshops. I can do, create opportunities for our residents.
For everybody.
Or,
Did you guys notice, so all summer and, when people were going to the farmers markets and to Lost Shoe, like there's this really good feeling of like community down there. Like it was contagious. You'd go down on a Saturday morning and like walk around. You could even get mimosas from Lost Shoe to then be able to walk through the pop-ups and go over to the farmers market. And like, it just created this really cool vibe downtown where you wanted to be there. You wanted to be a part of it. And that was the whole idea behind it. And they're amazing over at Lost Shoe. I mean, talk about community centric, really wanting to bring people together. And they're always looking for people to do pop-ups and to do these kind of things and just really kind of kind of a cool way to look at business and do business in the city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're great at listening to the residents, and like they have their Monday night run club, which
Right.
Yep.
haven't
I'm
done
not a Monday night runner. I don't know
yet,
about you, Jill.
but like to know that that's a possibility is phenomenal. Like they listen to, they create such a community that's really, I don't know, it's really reflective of Marlborough as a whole.
Well, and it's been kind of cool too. So in the sheds, we also like coming up in November, we have the Panther Den. So do you know much about this?
I know a little bit.
So
it's very
it's run
exciting.
by the students, and
Yes.
it's a store that they're selling things. So they're going to be in one of the sheds for a period of time, which is really cool.
Which was Lindsay's brilliant idea. Lindsay, again, with all of her creativity. We were at
Yes.
our city communications meeting talking on behalf of the public schools and talking about, these are these great things that are happening. And so then Lindsay's like, well, what if we brought our students there? And so
Right.
they're excited about it.
I bet they are. I mean,
They
how
sell
cool.
some Marlborough merch,
It's super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be a great experience for them.
Right,
Right.
right. And so, and then honestly, for them to be next to folks like yourselves and Lex and all these people that can talk to them about a business planning, if you want to do these things, here are the things that you need to do to make it
Yeah.
happen.
Right.
And, what a cool experience and opportunity for them to be able to learn. And even when we didn't have folks, so we did pretty well with the pop-ups for the entire season, where we weren't ever really in a bind where we didn't have anybody or there was, that it was dead. Because at the very beginning, we're kind of like, okay, we got to make sure that we fill these. And like, what if we do all this work and then nobody wants to be in them? And thankfully, that was not the case, right? We had folks like yourselves that jumped in full steam ahead, both feet of like, nope, we're going to take it for the whole season, which was awesome. And just really built the momentum for people to want to be in them. But even on weekends that we didn't have like somebody for the third shed, like the library came in and they would put books up. And so it kind of created this really cool community space for people to do different things.
Yeah.
And then they just kind of grew over time, like the lights. And so now we have lights at the outside of the
lighting
shed.
is so cool.
So festive. Yeah.
It's so cool.
Charming.
Yeah, I just saw that this morning, actually.
It's super cool. It's
Yeah, it
super
looks
cool.
Awesome.
And then like John Mitten at DPW, he made the sign that we have down there. The DPW made the sign, but
Yep.
then John actually handmade the stand that it's on.
Yeah,
cool.
you've got to
Which
check
is
it
like
out.
ironwork. So I mean, really, I can't give enough shout out to the DPW for the amazing support that they gave us throughout the whole program.
Yep.
I mean, literally, the joke in the office was like Lindsay would call the DPW and they'd all run because she had more ideas of what we could do, what we could make the space, and it's really kind of neat. It's really been cool to see it come to fruition. And the artwork on the back started with just live, work, play, and then all of a sudden we had this beautiful butterfly on one side, and then the other side we're like, okay, well, let's do the other side too. Let's come up with another, space for that, and just really cool. It's a really cool idea. So the last question I have for you guys before we give you guys an opportunity to plug anything that you have going on. What does the retail market look like? So we're going into the holiday season. That's a big shopping season for folks. Are people spending money? What does it look like? And are you guys excited? And what does the retail market look like going into the holiday season?
I don't know. I think that's it's hard to know, I think, before you're in the thick of it.
Yeah.
There's like a light switch that happens on Black Friday.
Really?
I see it. And it's will there be one this year?
Yeah.
But people, their mindset really shifts. I do find a lot of people with handmade items, they start shopping for holidays in even like as early as August.
Really?
Yeah. They want the unique gifts and items, and they know they need to start looking like
Early.
to really get them. But
So do you have like a mad dash when it comes like so I know when I order things on Etsy, it's like they'll have the thing. You have to have your order in by this date or you're not going to get it. Like, do you guys deal with that as well?
A little bit.
So I find, people are more shopping kind of before that deadline.
Okay.
There's
That's
not
a good
many
thing.
people who really are like, it's the next day and they're like, oh, but can you?
Like
Yeah.
demanding. People are respectful and understand.
Yeah, I think so. And then what I find, like, I do a lot of, makers markets and the holiday season.
So tell us about where you have one coming up shortly, right?
Yep. So I'm doing for Black Friday and Small Business Saturday, I'm doing 2 pop-up events in retail locations.
Cool.
One, so Small Business Saturday, I'll be in Hudson, Mass. At Sarah Bertocchi's store.
Cool.
Nice.
And then the other one is in Beverly, Mass. The shop's called Soy Much Brighter. They're a vegan soy candle shop.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It's so cool. Like the different crafts and arts all coming together.
Right.
That's awesome. Yeah. What about you?
I'll be in the sheds all November.
I was going to say,
Hey,
she'll be in the
Do
sheds.
your
so
small shopping.
you can
local.
find Alicia right downtown in the sheds behind the butterfly.
That's right.
Yeah, and so
Monarch.
you've done some cool stuff too. So Lex kind of put like her branding on the shed, and then you did
Yeah.
the same thing right after, which is kind of cool.
Yep.
And every
Kinda
time I
making
drive by there, like there's something different. We like eventually there's planters that were put out, and like every time you drive by, there's just something more that's been able to happen, which is really really kind of cool to see that happening. I love you're just showing some
I
photos.
know. Well, it's exciting.
It is exciting.
I have a couple things.
Okay, let's hear it.
I was the conversation was flowing, so I didn't want to interrupt. One, our friend Luis da Costa. Oh, this is really teeny tiny. Hold on, let me move this comment.
Hi, Luis. Good morning.
Thank you for joining us. I can't seem to make this bigger, but it says congratulations to these both of our guests today for pioneering this project and for the MEDC for implementing it.
Yeah,
That's
it's been so much
awesome.
fun.
Thank you.
And then Vintage ME says, morning, the pop-ups are great. Do you both believe this program should continue next year? So what are your thoughts on?
I would hope so. I would hope you can
Yeah.
keep it going as long as you can, honestly. I mean, even if you had to move the location for
Yeah.
whatever revitalization reasons, but I think it's such a cool opportunity for someone just kind of starting out to kind of get, even if you haven't just been starting out, but haven't sold your stuff in a physical space.
Right.
It's a great stepping stone to figuring out what's next.
Well, right. So there's not this same amount of risk, right? Like you can come in and check it out. It's $300. And if it works out for you, great. If it doesn't, okay. Right. And then you
Right.
learn and you figure out what you need to do in order to make it happen. But that's the whole idea behind it, is to give people a space to do that and to try it out. Because it is a big deal. You know, signing that lease, signing the dotted line, it's a commitment.
Right.
And you have to be able to follow through on it. So
It must be a huge financial risk, and having so much up front to be able to get through those doors.
In the uncertainty of like a
Yes.
crazy economic situation
Yeah.
coming
Right.
off of a pandemic.
Yeah.
It's just like you see a lot of businesses closing right now, and you don't,
Yeah.
thinking about opening something in that landscape, you just are hoping for the best.
Yeah.
right.
So for someone that's like just starting out, or they're like, oh, well, I don't know if I'm all set for all of that. Like, is it worth the investment? Is it worth the time to commit to having, taking a space like this?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, so kudos to the MEDC, right?
Oh.
Like, woohoo. But you literally come in and we have shelving, again, it's kind of, we've laughed all summer long because we watched Lindsay schlepping all this stuff across the street. We ended up investing in this little dolly because we're literally bringing things over and back and over and back. And we joked at one point that we needed a shed for our sheds because we had all this stuff and all these shelves, but literally tried to make it really turnkey for folks that if you're just starting out and you're like, hey, I really just want to test the water, that it's ready. You can come in and just bring your stuff, put it up, and so I mean, you guys built the space out really cool, and just a really cool thing for Marlborough, I think.
Yeah.
It's
awesome.
All right, so where can people? We already talked about where people can find you, but you also have websites and things like that. So let's talk about that. We know where you physically will be for the next couple of weeks, but where can we find you online? This is our website.
Yes.
There we go.
So that's Visit Marlborough. So Alicia, do you wanna-
magicandcolorco.com.
Is that it?
That's I'm just launching my own website now, so I can offer more than just my vintage goods. On Etsy, I have to stick to my vintage, and I do make some cards and paper crafts as well that are on there.
That's awesome.
Cool.
But I'll be evolving this over the winter months.
So we want people to go check you out. You're in the sheds for at least the next month, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I will be there.
It's awesome.
Awesome.
And Amanda, what about you? You have a website as well,
Yep,
or they can
it's-
find you on Facebook, Instagram, all that kind of good stuff?
Mostly
found you on
Instagram,
Instagram.
and then lunapines.com.
Awesome.
Okay, hold on. Let me pull up Luna. Keep talking. I'm going to put it up
Yep.
there. Okay.
Yeah.
Yay, Luna.
So lunapines.com. I've been expanding my website. It has a lot of items for sale.
Yep.
So the shop section's pretty built out, and then I've been working on my events page.
Sure.
And I started offering permanent jewelry services.
Cool.
So people can book appointments through my website for that as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Cool. I love it. I love it.
And I think if you keep going down, that's just like a big graphic. Then then you can start. There you go.
Wow.
That's awesome. All right, so my biggest question, do you still have the necklace that she made you?
Yes, I
I
have
love
all
it.
of my Luna's Pines pieces. I've been collecting them for 10
She
years.
probably has the biggest collection.
The
There's
original?
a few people who challenge you.
Yeah, I'm sure. You got fans. You got great stuff.
That's awesome. You guys, thank you so much for coming in and doing this. And thanks for being part of the pop-up program, the inaugural pop-up program. And I think we're not going anywhere. I mean, those sheds are pretty permanent.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Yeah, we keep talking too about like, okay, so we're going through the end of November, which was new. We weren't sure if we were going to do that, but the demand is there. So we're going to keep them open.
Yeah.
And then we had talked, people keep throwing the idea around of like, can we do hot cocoa during like the, not the concert, the tree lighting. And, if people want to come down and sell, I don't know, scarves, whatever it is. If you are an entrepreneur or you're somebody that is making things and you want to sell them and you need exposure, please call us. We want to have you a part of the program. As you've learned today, it is beneficial. You can learn a lot. You can get yourself started, and we're here to help support you. So with that, I hope everybody has a wonderful Wednesday, and thank you to our guests for being here.
Thank
Thank you.
That's a wrap on episode 39 of Exploring Economic Development. Have a great day, everybody.
Awesome. Great. Thank you.